a thermal building simulation, and which means you have to simulate according the American standard ASHRAE 9.1 2007, which makes the whole thing quite complicated because you have to use the proposed HVAC systems, which means that you have to use American software, which is especially designed for this ASHRAE. And in this software you have predefined HVAC systems, which are not always compatible to the West European standards. So it really needs some experience to use and apply this kind of system. So the basic idea is to simulate a baseline building with defined U values, efficiencies and HVAC systems by the ASHRAE. But you have to use the architecture of your building, and in the second step you have to simulate the building as it is planned. So you are using the U values and the shading systems which are really planned for the proposed building. And finally you have to calculate the difference to analyze the energy savings between the baseline building and the proposed building, and according to these energy savings you earn points. In our building we achieved an energy reduction of 35%, which means that we are getting 18 points for energy performance. Another important topic is materials and resources. This subject mainly deals with ecological materials. It's a quite straightforward approach, which is easy to understand but difficult to document. Thomas Kleist will later introduce you to the approach of the life cycle assessment, which is actually easier to apply, and I think the results are much more precise. So what we have to do, for example, to show that we are using regional materials is we have to show that either 10 or 20% of the building materials come from a distance within 800 kilometers, which is quite easy to fulfill in Germany and Austria. Well, here you can see that the certification system is especially made for the US, where you have much larger distances. You have to show that 50% of the new wood that you are using in the building has an FSC certification. This is a bit of a problem because in Europe we have the PEFC certification system, which has the same quality level like FSC, but it's not accepted by the Green Building Certification Institute. So that's not so easy to fulfill. Now I come to the topic indoor environment. The goal here is to provide comfortable working places. Here you can see, let's say, a typical American office. I know these kind of offices from the American movies, where these poor people have to work in these small boxes without any daylight and without any eye contact to the ambience. The funny thing is, this guy was quite happy with his cubicle, so some people seem to like it. I don't like it, and LEED also doesn't like it. So that is the reason why we got 2 points, because we can supply 90% of the working places with a direct line of sight to the ambience. So this is a rendering of the offices. You can see they're very light, and you have this contact to the ambience. I think it's a much better solution. We also showed that we have, I think, 90% daylighting in the offices. This has to be done by a daylight simulation. I don't understand why, but we had to simulate really each and every room, so this took us about 1.5 weeks to work, and we are getting 1 point for this. Another important aspect is the thermal comfort in the office rooms. For this we have to calculate the percentage of dissatisfied people according ISO 7730. In this approach you don't only look on the room temperature in heating and cooling mode, but you also address the draft through cold air and also the surface temperature, so it's a more holistic approach on thermal comfort. The next topic is the air quality, also during construction. Here you have to show that your absorptive materials are protected from humidity. You have to show that after mounting your raised floor, the cavity beneath the floor is cleaned. You have to store paints and coatings in a separate room during construction. You have to flush the building after finishing of construction, and you also have to protect the air ducts during construction from dust. So, after all, we counted together all the points, and we achieved 60 points during the design phase, and we will achieve 24 points for the construction phase. So this will result in a LEED Platinum certification. This is not the only project we already carried out. We did one building, a LEED Gold building in Frankfurt, which was a bit of a challenge because the building was almost finished when we came in, so it was completely the wrong way, and only because of the, let's say, high building culture in Germany we achieved the certification. Usually you should really start with the beginning of the design of the building with the certification process, otherwise it's really risky and you have to maybe dismount some things, some components which are already installed. Then we have a very interesting project in Hamburg. It's called Alte Post. It's the east wing of this building complex. It's a building from the beginning of the 18th century. It's a major renovation. And of course we were not, because it's a historical monument, we were not allowed to improve the insulation of the facade. So we suggested to use a heat pump in combination with geothermal earth probes, which are installed in the inner courtyards of the building. And by this we could reduce the energy consumption of the building, and we will achieve LEED Gold. Green works are already presented to you. What we also carry out is we are doing LEED simulation, because some architectural offices, they are not able to do this kind of thermal simulation. We have one project in Nigeria for Bilfinger and Berger at the moment, and we are cooperating with Dr. Erten in Turkey on the Bosch Siemens project. And so we have quite some experience in this field. So this is a photo from last week. It was an event where I handed over the LEED Platinum certification to the client. So you can see that this guy, he's a building developer. So the only thing, he's an investor. He's building, he's constructing building and then selling them. And he really wants to show that his company can build sustainable and green buildings. And he invited a lot of people from the real estate industry to really promote and market his building, and of course also to achieve a higher price for his buildings. I think there's a study from the US GBC which says that you achieve a 5% higher selling price for LEED certified buildings. So I mean that's I think that was his main intention. Yeah, now I would like to summarize my presentation. I think LEED has a very straightforward approach. The certifications are in Germany easy to achieve because we have very high regulations and also a very good building culture, I think. And on the other hand, from the point of view of an engineer, I must say LEED has a couple of weaknesses. First of all, the unit conversion, then the problem with the simulation, because, for example, you already mentioned it, concrete core heating and cooling system is an energy efficient system which is applied in Germany quite a lot. It's very energy efficient and it's very comfortable, but it's really difficult to simulate it with American software because they don't know this system, so you have to make some tricks to achieve this. There is no systematic life cycle assessment and also no life cycle costing, which is, I think, quite important for the client. And some of the European certificates are not accepted by the GBCI, although they are equivalent or even better than the American certificates, so that makes it also quite difficult. So Dr. Erdmann, for example, mentioned the Green E certification for green electricity. The building will get green electricity, but it's not certified by Green E, and so it's difficult. Although the electricity comes from water power and wind power and photovoltaic, so it's 100% CO2 neutral. So this is the reason why we have started a project here in Ukraine to adapt the German certification system to the Ukrainian building industry and the framework that we found here. We are currently looking for a building project where we can apply the DGNB system here in Ukraine. So maybe if some of you know a building project where the client says, yeah, I want to have a high quality building and I want to have an innovative building, please come to me and maybe we find a possibility to cooperate. So that's the end of my presentation. Thank you for your attention.